Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name Ahmad Faisal Muchsinin. My ID number 19320180. Okay, so this time I will presentation about comparison gender roles in British and Indonesia. What are gender roles? Gender roles in society means how we're expected to act, speak, dress, groom, and conduct ourselves based upon our assigned sex. For example, girls and women are generally expected to dress in typically feminine ways and be polite, accommodating, and nurturing. Men are generally expected to be strong, aggressive, and bold. Every society, ethnic groups, and culture has general expectation, but they can be very different from group to group. They can also change in the same society over time. For example, pink used to be considered a masculine color in the US, while blue was considered feminine. Gender roles in British. Traditional British society has traditionally viewed men as the breadwinners of the family, while women were seen as the homemakers and primary caretakers of children. Such attitudes toward female gender roles have changed significantly since the mid 20th century. For example, there is no almost universal support for female participation in the labor force and political office. However, while women enjoy equal rights and the opportunity to choose their form of contribution to the household dynamic, traditional views on family and household duties prevail. As a result, women on average earn less and have reduced work hours in order to be the primary caretakers of children. The male breadwinner's family system has been in this line for at least half a century. Concerns about work-family conflict have only been voiced more recently. Some argue that the only way that family conflict associated with women's labor market participation can be avoided is if men take on more of the housework and children. There is a role for policy measures that seek to reduce family work conflict, including children provisions, improvement in part-time working condition, and parental leave. In the UK, there was little relevant policy on such issues until the 1990s. After 1997, there was a surge in policies designed to support the adult worker model, where baby mothers, including lone mothers, were encouraged to work. Gender roles in Indonesia. Indonesia is basically a patriarchal society where women are expected to play traditional subordinate roles as daughter, wives, and mothers. However, Indonesian women have come a long way in their majority Islamic and male-dominated society. They have come more economically independent over the last few years. Women gained the right to vote at the same time as Indonesia's independence in 1945. Women can legally engage in any social and economic activities. The Indonesian New Order government has defined women in terms of istri, or housewife, and ibu, or mother. Woman as a housewife or istri depends on her husband, has to take care of her husband and children, and is also busy with home duties. Meanwhile, the notion of ibu or mother covers the range of roles from domestic to public worker. The state uses the term ibu in its limited biological meaning. And on the recently issues like the question, how society feels about career women in Indonesia, as we know that in Indonesia, the majority of religion is Islam. We can find out by Islam viewpoints about career women. So, in Sharia, it is absolutely allowed for Muslim women to work or to do job and there is no harm in it. But as Islam has allowed so many things with some terms and conditions, similarly, Islam has also allowed women to work but with certain rules and regulation which women must follow. Some of the conditions are women should take permission from their husband, and if their husband do not want their wives to work, then it is duty upon wives to follow the husband's command. Relevant to this topic, Muslim women have two commandments. The first, they must be educated and they must take responsibility of managing a household if they have one. Relevant to this topic, Muslim women have two commandments. The first, they must be educated, and the second, they must take responsibility of managing a household, or if they have one. So it is the wife's responsibility to make sure the children are being taught, fed and house maintained, the satellite working, the fridge sufficiently full. The husband's responsibility is to make sure everyone is financially provided for and protected. It is both the man and woman's responsibility to look after the emotional and physical needs of one another. Okay, I think that's all. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.